Chat with the Yes Men, episode 12 and a half, or 13, take 2. Now, why is it take 2 instead of take 1? Well, you see.
Have we got a story?
Yeah, so.
Holy.
Yeah, so this machine here just stopped recording. It just turned itself off randomly as we were doing the episode. And our first take on it. And then then it was a comedy of error, me spilling coffee all over Simon's rug.
Then we forgot cables.
Got cables.
Then
everything.
we've had our usual fight with software.
Wow, is this ever episode 13? Holy shit, right? It's a thing.
We got the dog from upstairs to come down to like be the calming influence. She kind of walked in and she's like, "All right, boys."
Yeah. No, you're fine. It's okay. I'm still trying to come down from it, ladies and
Hello,
gentlemen.
everybody.
Yes, this is episode 13. Boys, ever episode 13, right?
This is filtered water, not gin.
That's right. It's too... Well, that's about to say something vodka. Silly like it's too early to have gin, but that's just...
What?
That's the wrong attitude to have, isn't it, really?
So right. Completely the wrong attitude. We've got mugs with...
We've got the J&S mugs.
J&S.
Right. The Chapman Special filled with what coffee, Simon?
Yes Men blend from Pink Weasel coffee.
Pink Weasel. Fantastic.
Right.
Great coffee. Of course, actually,
it's gone.
It's all gone because I spilled some on the rug there. But that's okay. We're not going to dwell on that or make this whole episode about flogging Jason for spilling coffee.
We're moving on.
It's a spaz.
We're just moving on.
It's okay. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. Awesome. How you doing, Simon?
I'm doing well. You?
Nice. I forgot what we talked about last on our first take of this. Right?
In instances like that, you almost wish that you were like plugged into an ECG because vital signs must be like just to see the body.
I got my watch. I'll tell you.
What's it saying?
My heart rate is right now. It's probably up there.
Is it probably saying you need to calm down, Jason?
You need to calm your tits. Sorry, I shouldn't use words like that. Let's have a. You need to calm yourself, sir. We are at 76 beats per minute, so I'm still a little bit elevated.
That's elevated for sitting down. In our camping environment.
Right.
With the clipboard.
Thank you for having us here, Simon. This is Simon's
pleasure.
Simon's place.
My home office.
Yes.
I'm loving this.
Right. Yeah,
we've had some fun with this. We've got a clipboard. So obviously
a great Amazon find.
Jason and I, take whatever.
Yeah, take whatever. Yeah.
Scene 1,000.
Yeah.
Roll. Obviously, we're talking about food. We talk about a lot of food.
That's
Cheese roll, egg and bacon roll.
Yeah. Really.
All good stuff.
That's right. Yes.
I think the date's factual. We're not.
This is the 27th. Yes. Wait, I'm still in the beats per minute.
Okay.
Yeah. 27th. Yeah.
Right, and then sound is everything.
That's right. Exactly. Oh. So I hope you can hear us. Okay. This is again. I forgot every cable just to add to this, so we're kind of like a little weird mix of microphones just to make this work, but.
Which is perfect because we wanted to go back for this episode. We wanted to go back to our roots and
which is just us talking,
just you and I. Yes, chatting, shooting.
Right. Talk about what's happened. Recap elements that we liked on previous episodes. So
sponsors though, we need to say thank you. Thank yous. TEEMA platform.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Weasel.
Spandex Panda. That's right.
I'm using it. There's a double layer here. We've got layerage going on with Spandex Panda.
Looking very snazzy.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I've lost a bit of weight and I can almost fit inside that Spandex Panda shirt that you guys gave me. Yeah, without looking like a water balloon. So I should put myself down like that, but it's coming off. It's.
But I need to find the text that you sent when I was like, "Have you put your t-shirt on?" It's like, I am not wearing that.
Yeah, looks like a bloody sausage. I'm getting there. There's nothing wrong with the Spandex Panda collection. It's more European sizes, right?
Let's call it. It's Italian cut.
There we go, Italian cut, right?
So
this ain't an Italian
shape.
We're working at it.
Well, and we've got Spandex Panda is, and I can talk about this now because we've actualized what we weren't really wanted to talk about, but we've brought Spandex Panda is obviously the clothing brand. But it's also, there's a lot of cycling team behind it and connections. There's also adventures, so cultural connections there to Italy through the cycling culture, drinking coffee, drinking wine, breaking bread.
Right.
That's kind of what we're about. Is like breaking bread with people across the world.
Yes.
So this weekend we've got one of my buddies and ex-teammates, Adam. You know Adam Roberts, the production manager.
Yes.
He's in Girona, Spain, riding a 200-kilometer gravel race.
Oh wow.
We're already talking about being in Cape Town in January for an event there, which is, again, it's all hospitality. So it's wine, bread, all of that kind of stuff within Cape Town and riding bikes. But that's what Spandex Panda is now.
Yeah.
The Spandex Panda Vela Club is about a global experience. We network and
very cool.
all of that kind of
love
stuff.
it.
So that's what...
It's a small, large community.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But back to the clothing thing, it's like, I know I always have this with Curtis. It's like, are you still a large, Crouchy? And I'm like, Curtis, just stop.
Yeah.
It's like, because you talk to me about sizing as if it's like, ooh, probably lose a little bit. It's like, if the clothing is modelled on an anorexic model in the first place,
Right.
then that's not me.
Right. And I've never been that. So
Well, I'm not, and this is cycle wear, right?
yeah.
And I'm not the 60 kilogram like race whippet that I was in my younger years, right? So
Whip it, I love that as it is.
so I've got apparently there's a little bit more
right.
but in terms of the recap of going over our what we've talked about before, weights down,
Fantastic.
eating cleaner,
Well done.
sleeping better.
Well done.
You've now met the infamous Joe, because we're recording from home.
That's right. Yes.
Which again was like, why the hell didn't we do this sooner?
Right. This is fantastic.
Just
But
come
we'll
chill
be
out.
back platform. Don't worry.
We will.
Don't be
Well,
scared.
Platform had a little bit of a an event this week
Yeah, you're
where
saying.
the building systems was set off. So there was I think there was water damage, but I know that it was fire. The fire system got sent off. So that was, servers were down, Wi-Fi was out, blah blah blah. So they were like, okay, we're going to close down for 2 days and then we'll reopen. So they've reopened. So yeah, we'll be back to Platform.
Good.
But yeah,
Wonderful. So we've done the sponsor thing. We should also remind everyone to go to chatwiththeyesmen.com.
please, my favourite bit.
Exactly, right? So chatwiththeyesmen.com, you can get to all of our socials. My kid got me onto TikTok. Well, I shouldn't say that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't.
Got
never
me
laugh.
onto TikTok, as in I still see it as a huge waste of time, but I'm on there and
I am laughing
yeah.
because this man has defended himself. I am not doing TikTok.
I'm not.
And you've heard him on these episodes,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I'm trying not to be the old fuddy-duddy because I turn 50 in a month. 50. And I don't want to be that old guy. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do TikTok. So I'll put some stuff up on there.
You're going to be in my half-century club, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, that's right.
And little lady, she got into the half-century club last weekend.
Yes, there we go. It looks like a fun club. And apparently, according to my doctor, I still have that. I'm just at the midway point right now, so that's good. Yeah, the way things are going with my current journey on being healthier. If I keep this up, I'll see 100, is what the doctor says. So that's good. But
Yeah, it's on my target list.
yeah,
I've said right from my early days, I was like,
Perfect.
I want my letter from the royal family congratulating me getting to 100 years old.
fantastic. I forgot all the rest. Sorry, chatwiththeyesmen.com. Yes, I stopped at TikTok. So we have Facebook, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn. We sometimes, not as a presence, but as individuals, So look us up on LinkedIn if you want to. Maybe that's a bad thing. I should have said that. It's more
Well,
professional.
it connects the social side as well
Yeah,
as the business
fair
side,
enough.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio, all the podcast distributors. So
I was going to say we distribute through Broadbean, don't we?
Yeah, or
Podbean.
Podbean, that's one.
Sorry,
yeah.
Broadbean.
Broadbean, well done. Oh, yeah.
Now that's took us both back a few
Yum,
years.
Right? Yeah. I'm not sure if that's a yum thing. I tried to avoid Broadbeans when I was younger.
But
So, yeah.
as I said, Broadbean was when did I used to use Broadbean? Good Lord, 2009 Broadbean.
Oh, yeah?
Because you could advertise, you could post to So you could put an opportunity out there. You would send it to Broadbean, and then Broadbean then would cascade it out to all of the usual medias, which then wasn't necessarily electronical media. It was media of
Interesting.
magazines.
Oh.
Stuff like that, right? Because you'd have Recruiter magazine, Logistic magazine, because I was working supply chain, supply chain magazines, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. So yeah, Broadbean. So Podbean does exactly the same thing.
Exactly. And you can catch us Apple. And that'll put you into Apple Podcasts. You can see us there. See us on iHeartRadio, what you said. Spotify, Amazon Podcast, was it?
Spotify, Amazon. Yeah, you told us we were on Amazon now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Apparently, we're probably in more places, but I haven't investigated it. So it's just once you put it on Podbean, it kind of distributes it everywhere. And also YouTube, because if you're seeing our pretty faces, then you're probably watching us on YouTube. So make sure to hit that thumb, the like, subscribe, leave comments.
Please leave comments. Yeah. Like no one's putting any comments in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is we're still getting the comments. We're still getting the feedback.
Yeah.
So still keep doing that.
All right. I look at it right now, but my phone is what's recording me right now, and the computer's way the hell over here. So yeah,
we're still using the cameras, the phones for cameras. So, but it's but yeah. So I think we got to 7 or 8 episodes, just you and I chatting.
That's right. Yeah.
Then we went to guests. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm going to big shout out and thanks for the people that we've had on the show. You. So that's Curtis, Ryan, Anna,
and
JP, Daniel.
Yeah. That's right, the Kingly boys,
and Anthony.
That's right. Thank you, everyone. It was a fun couple of months there on
continual learning.
People. Yeah,
that was the stuff that was coming out of those episodes with still your brain, my mind still whirring away, kind of going, huh,
yeah,
and but also to still feel that feedback from those individuals that we've sat down, because like Anna still texts us, doesn't she?
That's right. Yeah. We're gonna have another episode with Anna at some point.
Yeah, we will, and Curtis the same.
Yeah.
Ryan's busy now, so the racing season started. So Ryan's like all over the shop now, running a team, racing a team, all of that kind of stuff.
And there'll definitely be. I know there's going to be a music podcast. I have. That's all I've been doing is my entire personal life has just been me doing music stuff. So I have a lot of people to talk to.
Well, and there was that's how I was going to. I wanted to share that story with you because we were talking about music upstairs, weren't we? A lot. Me taking Daisy to school, which took her to hero status with her teachers for that one particular year, you know. Well, so went back to school into whatever grade she was, but she was a 7-year-old. And they were like, "What did you do, Daisy?" And she proudly walks into school with a Def Leppard t-shirt. Dad took me to a Def Leppard concert. Like, get in. But yeah, so the recruitment industry was always there's always people that that's probably a generation of folks that we're never really going to see again, and they were just characters that were born out of just hardship.
Yeah,
like there wasn't any other option than just freaking hard work. And this was the last UK operation that I ran, an office, a branch, whatever you term that.
Yeah.
So it was a temporaries office. So we were, commercial, industrial, engineering, driving, all of that kind of stuff. And one of my drivers that was called Big Al, and he was like, he's 6'3", like he's a big dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When he came into the office, all of a sudden you knew he was in the office because my desk just went, he just used to walk straight into my office and stand behind me and everything just went dark. I'm like, is that you?
Wow. And eclipse every day kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, he'd have this thing that he used to call a hand would just kind of go, yeah, where am I next week, Simon? What am I doing? Yeah. But this one day I remember him walking in and he was like, he just said, he'd finished his week and he was like, what are you doing tomorrow night? I was like, I'm just making sure you've got work and everybody else has got work, and then we're closing the office as normal and I'll see you on Monday. I'm going home to my family. And he was like, do you want to come to a concert? I was like, yeah, sure. And then he paused and he said, actually, I should probably tell you what I do when I'm not working for you. And he turns out to be, or had been over many years, a minder, bodyguard, bouncer for the Stranglers.
I know what you're talking about. Oh, yes.
So
really?
yes, for the Stranglers, because I was like, yeah, sure, why? What concert? And he was like, well, do you like the Stranglers? And I'm like, course. Like, how can you not love the Stranglers? So the Stranglers, Peaches, Golden Brown, all of that kind of stuff. So it was that era of kind of punk into rock, all of that kind of stuff. Got a very, very different sound, like the Stranglers. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to the Stranglers. And he was like, right, okay. And then he told me this whole story of him being a minder and how he got the job of being the minder. And so they were all into their martial arts. In later years, they got into their martial arts. Yeah. His chief job was actually to keep the band members from fighting because he was that big. Because he was that big, he was like, right, separate yourselves, boys, and behave. But so I was like, where am I going? And I was in my last office was in Luton. So I closed the office in Luton, just shut it down for the weekend, and then drove to Cambridge. So we were in the Cambridge Corn Exchange. Yeah. And he gave me a AAA pass. So I was there for all that evening. Yeah. Met all of the band members. Perfect. They were getting on. Well, they are old now, but they were old also then. But they could harmonise, they could sing, all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. But I didn't need the purpose to my story was I didn't really need the AAA pass. It was because I remember walking around backstage. Yeah. So he says, when we get to this part, and he said, this is when when the guys are going to be playing Peaches and Golden Brown and all of that kind of stuff. Look, the Skin Deeps, you know. It was like, it'll be cool. He was like, come round and you can be on stage whilst they're doing it. So he showed me how to get backstage. Yeah. And he says, make sure you've got your pass, but as you're going around, if anybody stops you, just say that Big Al told you to be here. Yeah. Sure enough, I start walking through, and again, whole room goes dark as this big bouncer says, you can't be backstage. And I was like, for that few seconds, I'm like, Big Al told me I could be here. And he was like, oh, okay, in you come. And so all I need is love it. Big Al was my pass to everything. Oh, fantastic. Was on stage when they performed all of those songs. Had the after concert party as well. But what a group of boys. But it was the music, going back to the music side of it, you know, with the guitars, because I was on the guitar side. And it was just freaking wonderful. Yes. So seeing you like on the back of what we're doing, and like every day there's a post of like, I'm on an open mic. Yeah. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, that dude is having such a good freaking time. It's ridiculous. The calluses from playing guitar are intense right now. Like it's, but but you can play. Yes. And I just love being in front of people. So, it's just the reason why I do this podcast, because I like talking or showing off in front of people anyway. It's shameless. It's cool. Yeah. But I guess the point of me sharing that music song is the connections and the memories that having these conversations have brought back. Yes. Music is a connector. It's the amount of friends I've made. Well, I guess connections I've made. We'll just say through if Facebook is your metric, I've an extra third of connections now on Facebook just because of my involvement in the Calgary music scene. Really? I meet people all of a sudden. It's like every night I go out and there's 2 new people on my as Facebook friends. So here's 2 questions for you, because I was thinking about this in the week, knowing that we were going to be. So if somebody says, who is Jason? What would you say? And then somebody says, what is Jason? What would you say? Yeah, I don't know. I think the answer is the same thing. Yeah, I'm just it was watching a film. It was the Equalizer, the first Equalizer film. I saw it in. That's a good one. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I just saw it. When he was like, what are you and who are you? And it's like, well, who I am is quite easy to explain, but what I am is a little bit more complex. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, do you know what? That 2 awesome questions, but it's also probably something that going back to the general theme of all of our conversations, relationships, how people have been led, how people absorb leadership, take on leadership, take advice, take all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. you can kind of see it, because there's certain bits that are missed. There's certain bits that you could probably argue are missing.
Yeah, I'm trying to see as you're talking. I'm trying to formulate answers to who and what. So
I had lunch with a senior director this week, and the organisation that she works with they're going through a lot of change, and we kind of had a little bit of this talk, but and I said this to her. I was like, yeah, but you're getting good feedback because you are the calm to everybody else's storm.
Yeah.
And then again, and like we carried on, I'm like, I wonder if that's probably the biggest change in modern business, because we've got leadership that are like,
yeah,
the walls are closing in, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
When the worker bees, you don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
You need to kind of like, it's all right.
all
Just focus on what we know you're good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's where we landed. I was like, you're seeing a lot of positives to all of this because your folks are seeing you calm.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Definitely.
Which was that, and that was when we were talking to Anthony. That thought hit me when we were talking to Anthony.
Yeah, interesting.
Because there was a lot of chaos, like out of that pressure cooker environment that we first got into industry and business together in.
Yes.
It was
the 24/7 recruitment.
It was pressure, man.
Insane.
It was pressure.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to be the person that when the boss walked in would say, this huge company asked us for however many people they asked for, and we could only satisfy 6 of those roles when they were asking for like 15 people.
Yeah.
Because you knew what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done this? And if you didn't have an answer for all of those,
right,
then you knew what was coming. It's like, well, you've let yourself down, but you've also let your team down.
Yes. Oh my goodness, the pressure I couldn't imagine.
Right.
I never had anything like. Well, I mean, I had my own pressure, I guess. Yeah, like the biggest pressure I could think of that in the same time frame as well, as I worked for a company in town. It was an office furniture company, quite a large one, and the amount of orders that would come in was just insane. So there was no end to as much overtime as you wanted to work, and they were willing to pay it. It didn't matter. So you would.
Did you like it?
No, it burned me out after 6 months. That's all I could take at that place was about 6 months. But yeah, it was because there's that kind of the catch-22 of you put in your regular 40-hour week, but then as you're finishing your day, there's the dangling, like, would you want to do another 6 hours? And then you see your entire team doing it because they don't want to let down their team members. And then you're working until you're not leaving there until 2:00 in the morning so that you can be back there again at 7 in the morning. And after, but I mean, I didn't mind the paychecks. A 24-year-old was awfully happy with the paychecks, but with no time to spend it, which I guess is also not a bad thing depending on your personality. But it was 6 months is all I could take of that. I need my personal time, and I think that still continues to this day with like the way I am with my career and my music.
And your health. But you kind of got to have a.
I need my downtime. So I mean, I work from, and it's always pendulum swings. So the industry I'm in right now tends to work from home predominantly, and I hate working from home, but that's just the way it is. So I need to get out because I would go absolutely insane if I worked from home and then stayed home all night long. Yeah. And never actually, because I need my people. So that is why I'm out at least 6 days a week playing guitar in front of people. It's not as much about showing off. I need my human connection. So after I finish an 8 hour day of working from home without seeing people, it's like, I'm gone. The second that clock hits 5, I'm out of the house with the guitar. And I'm playing. So.
Well, and my stage is bikes and racing, which I'm a week or so away. Mm-hmm. So that'll be the first Spandex Panda get together.
Wonderful.
So,
but if I worked from an office, I probably wouldn't be playing. If I was working in an office traditionally with lots of other people in real life, I would probably not be out even half as much.
Do you not think
in the music scene? Probably not. Because after the commute to and from work and being out, I'd need my time at home to recharge my batteries.
Okay. So the event and the action of leaving home was kind of satisfied.
Yeah.
So it was almost okay.
Yeah,
I think
it's because I think a lot of people deal in absolutes and binaries of you're either a introvert or an extrovert. I think life is a balance of both. So yes. I need my introvert time, I need my extrovert time, and sometimes too much of one drains me, and I need to flip to the other to recharge. But then, if I'm too much in the introvert side of things, then I get drained. And I need to flip the switch to the extrovert. So
well, and that's an interesting thing because you can't really say this to a lot of people, but we've both made a career out of meeting people, networking with people, all of that kind of stuff, either in a business, recruitment industry, all of that kind of stuff. But when I need downtime, same as you need downtime, I don't get my downtime by meeting more people.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I need like my people, of which you're one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I again, I've got a Joe for that.
Yeah.
Joe will be like, "You need a break," and I'm like, "No, I'm fine." It's like,
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, okay then." But the relaxing is almost isolation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's you need both the yin and the yang, the black and the white.
To feed each other.
Yeah, to feed each other. So, yeah, it's to say like an extrovert's always extroverted all the time. No. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So.
I don't think so. But then that's interesting because then that feeds back into what Anna was saying, because obviously she's all about the relationship game. Kingsley was talking about relationship with self.
That's right, yeah.
Because folks are not finding, we could probably argue or discuss that folks are not finding their people, or their time, their reason to be alone. So I've just watched I don't know whether you've seen it yet, but have you seen the latest Diary of a CEO with Jimmy Carr?
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but yeah.
Like he keeps coming out with all of these great quotes, and I think there's a Confucius quote in there, which man has two lives, and he realizes what the second life is when he realizes he's only got one, or the second life starts when he realizes he's only got one.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, Patoing!
Yes. Exactly.
and that's probably you could again. And I'm like, oh my goodness me.
Yeah.
Because it just for me that like a lot, it just made like a lot of sense because of what the journey that he got through life. But then there was also the thought of he's also the same age as us.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So
but thankfully he'd figured out a pause, a break.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well I've got to stop because I need contemplation.
Yeah. Yes.
I need contemplation.
That man is he's you guys you may not be familiar with him. Our North American audience may not be familiar, but a big comedic staple in the UK. Yeah. And man, that guy is so quick. He is so quick. It's ridiculous. Like his wit, and he's on top of it. Like you throw him anything and he immediately has a joke for it. It's just he is. Yeah.
But he also explains that in this next this current episode as well, doesn't he? Because he said like it's not intents and purposes. He's basically saying, well, it's not an accident.
Yeah. No.
It's not an accident. Like people see and judge him on like an hour and a half or 2 hours on stage.
Right.
And it's like, but they haven't seen the like 60 hours a week.
Oh my goodness! Right.
Before that, researching, timing, working out the beats of delivery.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Which again, I didn't realise was a thing. Mm-hmm. So in public speaking, you want to be hitting.
Oh wait, what was that?
98.
98 beats per minute.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
And it's the and I'm like,
yeah, wow,
had no idea. Right. Had no idea.
And he even specifically talked about how important it is to understand that no one's a good multitasker as well. I think even challenged him on like
Bartlett.
yeah,
Bartlett was kind of like
with like,
well,
I want to be a
business-
DJ.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, and it's like I want to be a DJ. And it's like, okay, so you're going to be what, a mediocre DJ and a mediocre podcaster? Like this is what you should be focusing on.
Yeah.
Like don't. Yeah.
And it was perfect because he was like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to be a DJ. He said, but let me tell you, you're not going to be like, you're already behind. You're already way behind because there's a dude that actually wants to be a DJ that started being
all the time. He lives and breathes it.
He's been doing it from the age of 8.
Yeah,
and he's already 12 hours into his next sync.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, and you're going to do what?
Wait, you're going to compete against him? Yeah.
2 hours a day? It's like, yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's very true. Yeah. Yeah, identify your strengths and double down on it, really. I mean,
but which is when he said that bit, that kind of connected me back to what we do with our kids. Because school is, and Daisy's getting it now. She's 12 years old and she's getting that. What are you going to be when you grow up? So, and like, so you've almost got to kind of fuel your kids with options.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, it's like if you say, "Do you like being on your skateboard?" Yes. Do you prefer, normal skateboard or longboard? She likes her longboard. This is both my kids actually. Riding bikes, it's like, well, you're my kid, so you kind of like on a bound to ride. You got to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And then it's racing. So Sam went into racing, track and field, all this kind of stuff. He had moderate success with him, getting to provincials and all of this kind of stuff. Daisy, she's having the same journey. Loves riding a bike. Loves being outside.
Yeah.
Just want to be in the mountains, Dad. So she's got that connection.
Yeah.
But then also to fit her personality, she's Muay Thai because that's her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've met her now, haven't you? So
Yeah.
it's like straight from Muay Thai. So
Yeah,
it's
Yep.
all of them are connected to music. Music means such a lot in this
you're
household.
quite a musical family, aren't you?
It's
Yeah.
first thing that went in, streaming over there.
That's right.
Speakers. First thing I do every morning when I'm working in the office, music's on.
Yeah.
Music is on.
Big
it has
music
to be.
guy. Yeah.
So it's yeah. It's been such a cool journey
Yeah. Definitely.
that we need to revisit.
Mm-hmm.
What's so what brings us up to speed with your next gig? You've got one coming up, haven't you?
Right. Well, of course, yeah. It just depending on the day of the week and which instrument I'm playing. So I'm going to be hitting up 2 today, just 2 open mics today.
Are you really?
That's going to happen, yeah. And then 2 tomorrow. Yeah, the weekends are always at least 2 or 2 per day. But yeah, my band Smudge. So look at me, I'm actually name dropping my band here for the first time. We're playing May 11th at the border crossing. And
you got a gig on your birthday, though, haven't you?
That's right, May 31, my birthday. That's right. We are playing at Vern's, the infamous Vern's. The musicians in town know Vern's. It's a basement. It's in the basement downtown on 8th Avenue, and every musician kind of loves playing there.
That sounds like, what's that place in Liverpool that's a real pokey place? So it's in Liverpool where the Beatles played and Bowie played.
I can't remember the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I'm not sure. You're the one with the you got laptops.
Do you want me to Google it? Well, I was just looking at it. So, there was a question here. We need a Jason Dad update. If we're just you and I chatting, we need a Jason Dad update, don't we?
Yeah, he's at the extended care facility, I guess you can. in other words, an old age home, I guess. So he's going through. He's back mentally 100%. It looked like it was.
Nice.
It looks like it was a lot. He's a lifetime smoker. So this is a warning to you kids out there: if you're smoking, stop it. But it did give him COPD, or what we used to call emphysema,
right?
As well as lung cancer, which he has beat. That was a couple of years back, but lessened ability to take in oxygen. So that's what ultimately, by the looks of it, led to the fall in the first place. Lack of oxygen leading up, because he didn't have that. So now he's constantly attached to an oxygen hose. Which has brought him back mentally, because he was definitely degrading for a while, but I didn't know why. Right
Yeah,
now it
worrying
makes
for a while.
sense in hindsight. It's always So now he's skinny as hell. Looks like a skeleton, learning how to walk again. But it's his house has a lot of stairs.
He's good though.
He's going to take a long time. He's going to take a lot of physio to get back home. So hopefully he doubles down on it and keeps trying. But yeah.
I was going to say the fight's still there though, hey?
Yeah. And I'm not sure, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm not sure if he's. I mean, he is doing physio twice a day, but I think he might have to take it beyond that to get, as opposed to just the 2 physios per day, like really working hard to be able to get back home. So that's the thing I worry about. Ultimately, just it may take a bit above and beyond the regimented physio classes.
Yes.
To actually get, because his house has a lot of stairs to get into the house, and then there's stairs to get
to where he wants to be anyway.
Yeah, in the house, right? So yeah.
Got to get angry with it. That's a saying you don't hear very often.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A little bit.
What am I going to do here? Got to get angry with it.
That's right. Yeah, very much so.
It's like, I had to explain that with Daisy.
So
what do you mean? Isn't that aggressive? It's like, no, it just means that you're freaking fighting.
Yes.
You know what your end goal is, and you're just going to keep doing it until.
That's right. And so you guys quit smoking if you're a smoker. I would know. I smoked for way too effing long. I may have already damaged my lungs so much that I might have the same fate when I hit his age.
Well, they think. Right? Well, yes.
It might. If COPD or emphysema hits, man, it hits, and you may not see the signs of it for decades, but then
I think you've got to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Though, because as like we touched on it on our last episode, that was the way my industry was coffee and cigarettes, and that was what got me to my first, let's say, health scare, which again was Joe dragging me to the doctors and all of this kind of stuff, and they were like, I don't really know what to say, Simon, but you got about 6 months before, like, you're going to have a fatal heart attack. So you need to lose weight, clean up your diet, get fit, all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. Because up until that point, I'd just been living on whatever fast food was as close to the office.
Yeah.
So you'd work until you were starving, and then you're like, I need to eat. Yeah. And then you'd run out.
Yeah.
Get a bucket of fried chicken or whatever, come back, eat it at your desk. Yeah. Have a cigarette to suppress the urge, then to eat more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was my weight loss plan for so long.
Right? Oh, I'm feeling a bit tired. Let's have have a coffee.
Yeah.
And then drive an hour and a half home, and you're in that treadmill. Mm-hmm. But that health scare, that kind of shocked me into. I got back on the bike. I lost a whack load of weight. I started racing again.
Well, it's never too late to start thinking about your health, but there could be damage from the past. That's what I'm worried about, because the one I think.
Well, you can feel it. I guess my point is you can feel it. Like, when I'm riding.
Yeah.
Like you can feel when I've got a good flipping lung full of air, and then there's other days where it's like, this isn't working.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Yeah, like I'm now 5 years, almost exactly 5 years removed from smoking. And what type of cigarettes did you used to smoke? The lightest kind of things I could get my hands on. I always went for the lighter, but
not the heavy tar stuff.
Yeah.
The ones that are like this big.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, it was. It's funny because as the years have gone by, because I don't smoke anymore, my voice has become a lot better.
Didn't Freddie Mercury refuse to stop smoking?
I'm not sure.
There was an artist somewhere that basically refused to stop smoking because he was convinced that his tone
was attributed to that.
Yeah,
interesting.
Well, and back in.
I know Eddie Vedder is definitely. I'm not sort of a smoker, but
But I'm thinking of the Victorian age. In the Victorian age, speech therapists used smoking as a way to.
Really.
Yes. Get all of the smoke into the lungs.
Yeah,
that's what helps.
Here, use our tonic. It contains mercury. Fucking Victorians. Bloody hell.
It's just, but isn't it hilarious?
Yeah.
And I can remember as a young kid.
Get your daily supply of creosote.
There was a dude when I first started cycling that was in my head. He exists from the you could see him being a Spitfire pilot, right?
Yeah.
Slick back hair. Don't worry about a thing, old boy. You know what I mean? We're just going to roll in through the clouds. And
Yeah. Did he have a mustache?
he didn't, but he was clean shaven. But the hair he was a silver fox, and I definitely remember everything was slick back and all this kind of stuff. He would be on the start line, Jace, to a time trial. So a 10-mile time trial is 10 miles as fast as you can. That's it.
Yeah.
And he would have, I don't know whether you had heard of these, but they were Park Royals. Park Royals were a filterless cigarette, heavy tar.
Bloody hell.
About that big.
Wow.
And they would be going, okay. And so the starter, you'd have somebody holding you up as the starter.
Yeah.
And he'd be there, and there would be a tab on. So he'd be just, and he'd kind of say to the dudes like, "Oh, have you got me?" And he'd hold him up. He'd do his toe straps up and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And then the counter's going 5, 4, and literally he'd kind of go 5, and he'd go
take a good lungful in.
And when it was go, he would just disappear. He would obviously exhale and disappear. And I was like, what just happened?
Wow.
But again, in that, it's that romantic. I'm going to see that romantic, very masculine thing of like, I'm going to do this bloody bike thing. Right. And then I'm going to get home and I'm going to jump into an MG, which is probably an open wheeler, of course. With a wicker basket on the back. And me and the lady, we're going to disappear to this lovely spot in the countryside and have a picnic.
I love it.
Right?
With the scarf.
With just, it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
But nobody at that particular point was like, holy shit, like you're taking your lungs and you're restricting oxygen and Right. It's like, what are you doing?
Right? Well, that's ultimately what led me to quit smoking was just, I mean, again, there's benefits with the voice. Now I can actually sing, hence why I'm out all the time. I couldn't sing 5 years ago, that's for damn sure. Not very well, no.
Because you couldn't hold the pitch? Restricted breathing?
Frequently, just singing would, as a smoker, it would tickle something, and I'd end up coughing. Like something would be tickled by me singing. Happened all the time. Like anyone who was in a band with me knew it. If I pushed myself even close to the limit, I'd usually be off mic coughing a lung up in between lines. Right? It was crazy. But now it's funny because I hop on the treadmill and I can run, and it doesn't bother me at all. Whereas that was always the limiting factor was my lung capacity. I'd have to stop the treadmill because
I've got a theory. Yeah. It's not a theory. I think I've proven it to myself enough times. The body. And you've definitely proven it to yourself. Mm. And Jo is in the process of proving it to herself as well. Mm. If you listen to your body, which is the hardest freaking thing to do.
It is.
It will regenerate itself.
Yes.
Like the stuff that Jo's doing now because of like she pretty much got obsessed with Jason talking about fasting and clean living and all this kind of stuff.
I just did a 72 last week. Yeah.
Right. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that. Yeah. Anyways, but you can see that there's certain things that she's doing now that she started to reset because she's like going, I've not been able to do that before, or this feels different, or or something, and it's like only this month she's like, oh look, I've got my definition of my abs are coming back.
Love it. Right? I almost see an ab myself. Right? Almost. Yeah. I can really feel it.
Right? So the question about the Beatles, the Cavern Club.
Oh, the Cavern Club,
yes. So you walk in downstairs and blah, 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 which it's kind of like Covent Garden. If you've ever been to Covent Garden in downtown London, Covent Garden was a fruit market.
Yes.
So now there's pubs downstairs where there's all bricked chambers and stuff like that, where they used to cool temperature to store the fruit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But acoustically,
yes,
wicked.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was where they went from. Because I'm not a Beatles fan.
No.
Don't hate me.
Yeah. No. What's your 60s band then? Everyone has to have a 60s band that they maybe not crazy about, but they prefer over. You don't really have one, eh?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Mine's the Byrds.
I know that there's songs like if you were to like throw stuff at me, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm cool. but I had a good friend of mine that took me. He schooled me a little bit where the Beatles were concerned, and again training partner. So a lot of hours spent together and and somebody in the group that I was riding with said the Beatles, and I'm like, I genuinely don't understand the fascination with the Beatles. And then
I feel the same way about Led Zeppelin. So
I'm like, I really don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And his name's Dale, and Dale said, "Do you know what, Crouchy? I'm gonna challenge you on that." And he says, "Are you talking about the music, or are you talking about what they did for the industry?" And I was like, I said, the music, I could probably find a song, 2 songs that I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cool, without skipping it. You know what I mean? Without kind of going, no.
Yeah.
So we got into stereo, how they recorded, what they did with certain aspects of how they recorded, and all of this kind of stuff, because of the particular sound that they were searching for, and all this kind of stuff, and how they influenced music production. I was like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it, because now we're talking about Jesse Owens with the 100-meter sprint, and we're talking about Muhammad Ali with heavyweight boxing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With that's the type, just game changers.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because it's like, you're going to do what in how fast? It's like, whatever. And you know?
Yeah.
And then Jesse Owens like, I've just done it.
Yeah.
And now show that you know it's not a fluke, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Right? And it's interesting because one thing I take away from the Beatles, it's a long gone way of doing things, but back in those days, a recording or production company would get the band and sign them in for multi-album deals, and they would allow the band to grow and do their own thing. And that's one thing the Beatles did, is that the difference between like a White Album and then Sgt. Pepper. From the early days, it would change all the time, and sometimes they'd lose fans because the sound changed. But then they'd gain new fans.
But they were allowed.
They're allowed to breathe and become artists. And the last big band I can think of that did that was probably the last big one is Queen, maybe, because Queen albums, they definitely very, very different. Like you get everything from like Night at the Opera. Through so they're Killer Queen and Night at the Opera, all the way towards the end where you get like the miracle and you get the Miracle and soundtracks to Flash Gordon or to the Highlander, right? Like it's everything, and they were allowed to.
Such an emotive song, that Who Wants to Live Forever?
Yeah, right.
Oh, good
oh,
Lord.
My goodness, yes. I just revisited the Freddie Mercury tribute concert because I haven't seen it for a while. Watching George Michael belt up Somebody to Love and
Adam Lambert.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, fantastic guy.
He's
definitely.
But he was flamboyant. He was the same flamboyance as Freddie.
Yeah, exactly.
Freddie was like, come and get it then.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, the music industry doesn't allow bands to do that anymore. Like we signed you to be a formula.
But are we going back to talking about the leadership thing?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Because there's a lot of that going on just in the world. I know we're talking like there's a lot of it in the world. Yeah. Like just let Jace be.
Yeah.
Let Jace be Jace.
Yeah. They'll find.
Because that's what ultimately in the way what you're saying there is what I think is what you're saying is.
Yeah.
Okay, Beatles, you be the Beatles.
Your thing. Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, you be Jimi Hendrix. There you go. There's a 60s one. Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
All the Stones.
There you go. Perfect.
I got there in the end.
Hey, I just played Paint It Black for the first time last night.
Can you do it?
Yeah. We did a whole bunch of.
That was my ringtone for such a long time. Yes.
I just had a bunch of friends over at my house for a first time ever, but musician friends, and we just sat around my living room. And sang music.
What a tune!
Oh my god!
What a tune!
I hope I actually have to hit them up, see if anyone recorded it. But we did at least 6 or 7 people, and we did Sweet Caroline. So we did that, and everyone was singing. We were harmonizing it and everything.
Dude,
it's just fantastic.
I've told you the Sweet Caroline story, haven't I?
Yeah.
Have I told you that?
I think so. You refresh my memory.
Well, we did a couple of years ago. It was me, Joe, and Daisy that we did the Pacific Northwest, and so we went right down to the Northern California state line. Saw the Reds and the big Reds, and then came all the way back. So finished off at Cannon Beach, I think, and then drove back into Portland and flew home. But But there was a day where everybody was, and I still do this to Daisy, but not torture her, but I'm like, if she's in a grumpy mood and I'm taking her to school, I'm like,
boom, there we go.
You are going to listen to this song, and before you get out of the car, I want to hear a heartfelt ba ba ba. And she's like, I'm not doing it, Dad. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I was like, and if you don't do it, I'm opening all the windows and the sunroof, and I'm going to sit on the road with Neil Diamond playing in front of all of your friends.
There we go. We're going to force you to be happy whether you
Right?
like it or not. Right?
It's like, oh, God, Dad. I'm like,
yeah.
Test me on it.
Right? Oh, my God. Yeah, it's such a mood lifter. It's weird.
It's just,
right?
In fact, Trevor Noah. So as another comedian, Trevor Noah has done
From
it.
Daily Show fame,
Daily Show fame, but he's also, again, he's a comedian with, he's a clever guy. But he had Neil Diamond on one of his shows.
Oh, no kidding, eh?
Yep. And he did the same thing. So he just started humming, and then when he got to the bar, the whole audience went ba ba ba.
Yeah, right. There's something about that song. It's fantastic, but it was like a magical moment. Like it was goosebumpy.
Yes.
In my house last night when we did that, and then we did Paint It Black for the first time. Somebody mentioned it, and we were just playing it.
That was a Vietnam song. That was a Vietnam song, wasn't it?
I'm not sure actually about that.
Paint It Black.
I think so. I mean, it's totally synonymous with. Like it was used as soundtracks for TV shows and movies as the Vietnam War song frequently. I know for sure.
Is it a complicated tune to replicate?
No, not at all. No, it's I mean, when we played it, we just played the root chords. So there's none of the sitar-y sounding stuff, but I did figure out the sitar-y stuff in the end. So, yeah.
Well, going back to my Stranglers concert experience. So at the time, Jet Black he'd got to an age, same as what's happening with Phil Collins, right? Arms and hands and stuff like that was starting to be a problem. Yeah. So he couldn't play a full set.
Yeah.
So they had, so Jet Black would come out and play what they were really, really famous for.
Yeah.
And then their secondary drummer would play the rest.
Oh, very good. Okay.
But you knew when Jet Black was on all I'm going to say, like I knew because I'd met him in the dressing room. He was like, pleased to meet you, all this kind of stuff. I was like, drumming hero right now.
Yeah.
Like just listen to the beat that he puts into Golden Brown. I'm like, oh my God. No, and then Dave on the keyboard and all this kind of stuff, or a sitar, I think he did it with. And as soon as he hit the drum kit, you knew it was him.
Yeah. Right.
Just knew it was him.
That's a funny. You're bringing me to another story. I got to tell as well. So sorry if I'm.
No, carry on because it's perfect.
It's funny. So of course you've probably heard in the podcast, and all my friends know this as well. But one of my favorite guitarists is Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme, and he himself was a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. So he grew up listening to Van Halen 1 and 2, Mean Street, the whole lot, like all the. And he learned how to play guitar and that stuff, and learned all the little tips and tricks. But he was always disappointed that he could never sound exactly like Eddie. And so when they became somewhat famous, they were able to finally meet their heroes. And at one point, Eddie invited Nuno over to his place to plug in to try out his gear. And there's Frankenstrat there. And it's all hooked up, and Nuno gets up and starts hammering away at some of the Van Halen things, and to his dismay, he sounded like Nuno Bettencourt, not like Eddie Van Halen, and it's really funny because everyone has their signature sound.
Yes,
and it doesn't matter, and that was one of those when I heard that interview, it changed the way I thought about my guitar playing as well.
Play Jason?
I'm the best Jason player in the world.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm the best Jason Wiles style player, which is a mixture of all my influences mixed together with my personality.
Yes.
And it's funny because to bring it back, I just bought a new amplifier for my show.
Marshall.
I did have a Marshall.
Ooh.
Yeah. Sorry, Marshall. I tried them out. I bought the Marshall and I took it to a practice, and it did not do what I needed with the band. It felt like it started to fade, like it didn't have the oomph about halfway through. So, and I started reading reviews, and it was not a great reviewed model. So I took it back, And they have a complete 100% return policy at the Long McQuaid. I took it back, said, this isn't working for me. I said, how about this Eddie Van Halen 5150 amplifier? So,
and
yeah, I got it.
Are you liking it?
Yeah. And
completely different sound?
It's very close. Like you can hear the Eddie tones in it for sure, which is great because that's the style guitarist I am. Yep, but I'm still Jason Wiles. I still sound like Jason Wiles going through an Eddie Van Halen amplifier.
Well, so Sam, and I think I shared this with you on the social media. So it's one of Sam's good friends.
Yeah.
He calls him Boody, but I call him Abs. But he's a guitar player.
Yeah.
And he's what I would say is how Jimmy Carr describes. You know what I mean? He's from the age of like this big. He's had a guitar in his hands and he's been playing and doing all this kind of stuff. Wants to be a musician. So like and I've had him around the house when he's been around the house. Spotify, and I'm like, play that, and he's gone
5 minutes or less, and he gets it right.
Yeah. I would have. Well, I'd even like within 2 minutes. It's like, I'm just like, oh
perfect.
My God, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
Anyway, Sam's challenged him to replicate Brothers in Arms.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you look up there, is the one bit of vinyl that I've got left. It's still in its cellophane. I don't have a record.
Oh,
player.
You don't? Oh, okay.
No, but
I'm
there's
actually
a lot.
shocked about that, Simon.
There's a lot. It's coming. Don't worry.
Okay, yes, that's the right answer.
Yeah. It's coming. That'll be in when we finish the renovations in the house.
Love it.
So that'll be my friends at Absolute Audio that I'm going to be going to see.
It's funny because I'm not an audiophile at all, but there is something about, and it's less of whether I'm hearing something or if it may be a nostalgic emotion, but there's a sound of that. Of that needle hitting the vinyl.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest
because it immediately tells you whether you've got the needle in the right spot.
Yeah,
like if it's going.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Right. I actually identified this back in the 80s. My dad was an audiophile or fancied himself to be one, but I remember once had the volume really low, but I was playing something on vinyl, and I could actually hear. I could hear the cymbals being hit from that needle bouncing with it really low, and I just thought, and there's something about that moment where I thought, okay, yes, you get the dust and scratch and the hissing with it, but there is no digital, no CD, no tape, no MP3
because it's too clean,
yes,
too sanitary.
Yes, that can duplicate the sound of a cymbal compared to vinyl. Vinyl cymbal is a cymbal. You're hearing a cymbal. You're not.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was. So I took Ab and Sam and I went to an open evening at Absolute Audio, which is in Bowness. Great shop.
It's all those high-end audio shops.
It's phenomenal. That's where that CAD stuff came from. The NAD stuff came from. But yeah. So we went there, and I know him from the biking world. So his name's Ross, and actually my exercise bike, I bought that from him. That's how I got to meet him, because he was like, I've got a second-hand exercise bike I want to sell. Do you want it? I was like, yep, that works for me. But so we got invited to that, and on the way to this open evening, we played the Prodigy. Breathe, because Ab was like, what's the Prodigy? I'm like, what's the Prodigy? And you're a musician? Yes. I was like, so I looked at Sam, and Sam was like, Firestarter, Dad? I was like, not Firestarter. Yeah. Start him off with Breathe. So we put Breathe on the car sound system and cranked it. And it's just like, if you've ever been in the night, you and I are old enough to have been in the nightclub when the Prodigy was.
Yeah.
And like, I can remember being stood in fact, I was working in the nightclub at the time.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because it's just such an attack of.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like
a dance floor filler.
It's just a dance floor filler, a wall of sound, and it's like, wow.
Yes. That with like Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun. The second, except the difference is that the dance floors are just filled with women, and all the guys are standing there going, with a beer in their hand. Like, you just hear the opening notes of Cyndi Lauper's Girls. Dun, 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 dun. All you hear is a unified scream, and the girls go, whoosh.
Yes.
And all the boys are going, oh, what just happened?
Yeah. And then the transition was Sweet Child of Mine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, put that on, and it's like, oh, okay, all the dudes are on this.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
But so when we got into the sound room, because obviously there's multiple sound rooms at Absolute, the guy comes in, they've got such a repository of music, it's ridiculous. In fact, like and he challenged me. He said, think of a music, and he said, I'll guarantee. And there was somebody else there that came in and said, look, I've been coming here for years, and like I've only been able to catch them on one song that they hadn't got in their repertoire. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, he said, what do you want to listen to? So I was like, put the Prodigy on, and he said, I'm going to tell you now, it's going to sound awful. I was like, really? And I'll get to my point, ladies and gentlemen. So he put the Prodigy on, and sure enough, it sounded flat. It sounded gutless.
Yeah.
And then we got into the audiophile side of it, of how it was recorded, compressed files versus all of this kind of stuff, and the digital way in terms of the way it was recorded,
right,
which was too sterile.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, give me something else to play. And again, one of my other all-time favourites is Dire Straits' Telegraph Road. So it's 14 minutes of just freaking genius. I love it. And then, my feelings on Mark Knopfler.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the god. Right?
And he put that on, and I'm like,
Right.
Because it had been recorded properly.
You recorded analog, or at least, not.
But you could hear the percussion.
Yeah.
So you could hear the way, and I'm getting goosey the same as you are, right?
Yeah, goosebumper.
Yeah, it's a goosebumper because it's like, oh, okay, so that's how and you can imagine it's like the conversation of, dude, you're too heavy on the cymbals.
Yeah. Yes.
I just need a tickle rather than a bang.
Right. Right. Oh, it's such an interesting study. I mean, even when you talk about like in the video game or TV show thing with what they call the uncanny valley, where they can you can duplicate a human being. You get that with robotics as well. You can duplicate a human being's look on screen, or maybe with a robot with human features. But there's something that our human brain goes, that's not real.
Yeah.
Right. And they call it the uncanny valley. And I think that kind of thing also translates into music as well. So just to put that on the burner for a second, there's another podcaster out there or on YouTube, Rick Beato.
Okay.
He
is he a musician?
Yeah, music guy, and takes apart, talks about music theory, breaks apart songs, why this does that, why that does this. Interviews musicians all over the place. He's a powerhouse on YouTube.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure it was one of his episodes talking about why we may be finding it harder to connect to modern music. I don't. Well, first off, there's not enough time to let artists breathe before we go on to the next one.
I was going to say, it's back to leadership.
Yeah, back to that. But also, he has shown examples. I think it was a Led Zeppelin album or a song of some sort. And he had it broken down. You can see it on the screen where he's showing the different wavelengths and showing how maybe the bass note hits 1/8 of a second after the snare hits on the drum. So they're not perfectly lined up. But this is back in the day when things were done. It was done through analog means, and they couldn't line up. They weren't able to line up things. You're
making music too sterile.
Exactly what
you're talking about,
right? So I think us humans also. I think there's a certain amount of uncanny valley that happens with that when it comes to music. When you're lining up your waves, you're to be perfect so that the guitar and the bass and the snare hit at exactly the same time. You're taking the human element out of the music.
Yes,
it's the you fucked up and it's okay, because that's what makes the music human. And that's why some of the older stuff, and I'm not trying to be ageist and say like older music is better than new music, but it could be a reason why there's not as much staying power in music that's been produced in the past 25 years, as much holding staying power as some of these things done previously, right? So
and you've got, because we've made it into, we call it the music industry.
Yeah.
And music is an industry. Music's a feeling.
Right.
And my feelings are not an industry.
Right. And I know so many friends now are producing music on and doing their own production. They're paying the $200 to get the song recorded, and then put on Spotify.
Jimmy Carr, good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to go up against somebody that's doing it 100%
right?
of the time.
Yeah.
Off you go.
My friends are definitely not retiring on the money that they're making
Right?
for the songs, but
It's a nice passion to have. It's
but
a
it's
nice
a
hobby.
fun little thing. Yeah.
Yes.
To be able to go up and say, here's one of my songs. It's on Spotify or Apple
It's cool.
Music. That's kind of neat. Yeah.
It is cool.
I haven't gone there yet, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you need to, because you can do all of that flipping.
Yeah.
You put a video when you do that neck thing. So one of my favourite things when I'm watching when you're doing it on the neck of the guitar, I'm like, oh, he's doing the neck thing.
The neck thing, the tapping. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it is, but it's and George Michael had this fight with his record company management team, because they were and Queen. In fact, all of the greats had this battle because they were trying to be managed. You need to be producing a shit ton of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
It's like, no.
Right. Actually, bring it back to an album before, when they were trying to do a Night at the Opera. They had such huge pushback. And even Bohemian Rhapsody, like, you're not going to make it on the radio. Radio songs need to be shorter.
3 minutes. 3 minutes, 20 seconds, was it? 3 minutes, 30?
Yeah. I think you see it on that, the Queen...
The Queen film.
The Queen film that came out in like 2018.
Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah. It's exactly that. Yeah. And George Michael was kind of the same. No, I want to go in this direction. Yeah. Well, people want more Careless Whisper. And it's like, no.
I do that on open mics, by the way.
Careless Whisper?
I do. It's in my repertoire now.
This drives me bonkers every Christmas. Let's play Last Christmas. I'm like,
there we go. It's still my favorite Christmas song. Is Last Christmas, yeah. but
Fairy Tale in New York is mine.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Wonderful.
The Pogues, which again, God bless him.
Yes.
Not with us anymore, is he?
No.
In fact, both of them are. Kirsty MacColl passed away a long time ago, didn't she?
Yeah.
So
actually, mine's the Baby It's Cold Outside. I love that. I love the back and forth with a guy and a girl. Baby It's Cold Outside.
Who did a cover of that? Tom Jones did a cover of that, didn't he? With
that makes sense, of course. He has the right voice for it. Yeah.
Such a booming voice. And he's in in what film? There's a new film yet to be released that they've used him in. And again, going back to what we're talking about, at that age, with such a belting voice, it's like, whew.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because have you ever been to see a group? So there's a group out there called Il Divo, and it's all tenors and all of this kind of stuff.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
So this was Sam's 10th birthday, and we gave him a choice.
Yeah.
We said, okay, son, Coldplay or Il Divo. And I'm asking the question thinking, please say Coldplay. And he went,
let's try something different.
Il Divo, I think, Dad. I'm like, okay.
Where'd you watch that?
We'll go say Il Divo, and we went to watch them in the Sheffield Arena.
Okay.
But again, big booming voices. Harmonised, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Almost opera-like. Yes. I can't remember what they call it, like opera rock or something like that. Just awesome.
There's something about that.
Awesome. But that again was that was when I knew that Sam, we all appreciated music, because you can stand there. I'm as happy going to, and I still haven't achieved this yet, but I want to go to Vienna to watch a full Philharmonic orchestra.
Oh. That'd be fantastic.
Then I want to go to a night at the opera, and
then you're watching the big leagues. Like it's
amazing to listen to, though.
Yeah,
but you don't get it. My point is, you don't get it digitally.
No,
and that's what I'm craving, because I'm like, I need to listen to it
real time,
in the room, harmonised with those little imperfections, which they are at that level. We're talking.
Oh my goodness, yeah. There's two examples I need to tell you about exactly what you're saying with that. My mom, she passed away 10 years ago, but back in the 90s, she was a huge opera fan, and she had nobody to go with me, and somebody big was coming to town, not big-ish in the opera scene, not like Luciano Pavarotti or Domingo, not that level of
not
big.
The boomers.
Yeah, they didn't come to Calgary, or if they did, it was rare.
Yep.
But this was at I can't remember the place. I'll sure remember after we record this, but it's at Art Commons downtown. It's
I know that.
not the Jack Singer. Is it Jack? No, I can't remember. anyway, it's
It's
made
the gallery.
for that.
It's where they do the whiskey festival.
Yeah, it's that place is just made for music. Like
Yes.
it's acoustically, it's made of wood and blah, 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 downtown Calgary. Fantastic. So we went to see this guy, and words are out of my head right now. Not tenor, but a step below, so a little bit deeper in the range.
Soprano.
And and this guy, he hits the stage, and I just went with my mom because she wanted somebody to go with, and didn't really have anyone. And of course, I'd go. Why not? And he had a pianist behind him, and he was just singing without a mic.
Without a mic,
and he could just project into that room. It was like, what the hell? That was like eye-opening. So when you have that level of performance,
command,
it's just raw. And another person that I just ran into that's I had mad respect for, but this was back in the 90s. Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. I caught a video of him. I think they were in their earlier days, kind of their first album. I think they were playing at a record store or something like that, but large enough that, and there's a full powered band behind him, but for some reason his mic wasn't working or whatever it is. He's actually projecting to the room without a microphone. And there's video of this. You can find this on YouTube, and it's like scratchy, but like that boy can punch through. He has hella power, and Eddie Vedder in that respect. Not my favorite music. Pearl Jam's not my favorite band, but my goodness, just the.
But that's when it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because now you're making me think of The Sound of Silence by The Disturbed. When they did that cover.
Yeah.
Because you've got a guy there that has made his thing is very, let's say, forced punk heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
That's
what's the word? Like grunge.
Yeah.
Grunge type of.
But then.
Yeah, but then he delivers sound, and I'm like, oh.
Right.
My Lord.
Right. Yeah.
What am I listening to?
Yes. And it's neat because, it's sometimes people lump musicians or types of music together and maybe judgmental about it. But one example, I was a huge Metallica fan, especially back in the early days when their Master of Puppets and Justice for All, when they did some of their songs were almost orchestral, like some of their big. They did. Master of Puppets would break halfway through and do this neat little diddly, and same with Justice for All.
Yeah.
And
Nothing else. Didn't they record Nothing Else Matters with
an actual orchestra?
Was it the New York
San
Philharmonic or San Francisco?
They
did it with a Philharmonic anyway, and I'm
yeah.
like, I've got it on the system.
But it's even prior to them actually being with a Philharmonic, with orchestra of any sort, their arrangements, probably through Cliff Burton, was very classically trained. And my mom, who was into classical, when she was subject to me playing Metallica in the car, she goes, "It's not my style of music, but I get what's happening here." Like
what a woman.
She could hear the intricacies of like the breakdown of Master of Puppets or Justice for All when it's
just. And I've also got a bit of a fascination with electrical music, EDM.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like again, it's like, to me, the grandfather of electrical dance music was the Electric Light Orchestra and Jean-Michel Jarre and all of that kind of stuff, because it was all electric music, no singing, light shows, all of this kind of stuff. And it's come across over that. But over the years, and I've said this multiple times, especially to the kids and to Joe, she'll be like, how can you listen to this? And I said, the trick to listening to probably classical music, and I do mean this with classical music, even rock music, definitely orchestral music and into electrical, is don't listen to it.
Feel it.
Just just put it on, and it hasn't got to. And again, if you're a musician, you're an audiophile, so the science is already out there that the human brain doesn't listen to volume. It listens to pitch, vibration, and arrangement. Yeah. So you put it on loud enough so that you can hear it, obviously. Yeah. And you just get about your day.
Yes.
And
that's then jazz.
And then at some point, because that's how I got through my stumbling block of listening to jazz. Always struggled with jazz. I don't know why. It's like, ugh.
You don't listen to jazz. You feel jazz.
And that's exactly it. Yeah. It's like, okay, feels like a jazz day today. We'll put it on low on the system, and I'm just going to get on with my day. And at some point, I know I'm going to be tapping. I'll pick it up, and we'll pick the beat up. But it's the same with it. It's interesting because all of the Adam Roberts that we mentioned earlier in this episode. Last year, before I met him, we met up to ride bikes in Mallorca. He'd had 2 weeks in Ibiza at doing the jam jar sessions. So him and his buddy were like they had the set DJing all day long from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 at night and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. My point is he's just as happy to put a classical album on, Bach, whatever, and sit down and listen to it as he is anything else. I think that's what the difference is, because all of those people are like, what's this? And all they're listening to is it's like, well, hold on a second. Yeah. It's like to get to that, you got to know how to arrange it.
Yes. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Which means you've got to respect the guys that came first, which is your Mozart, your Bach, and all of everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
So same as the rock, it's like, well, where did that come from? It's like, well, it came.
Yeah, it's roots and blues, and
Yeah,
definitely.
So that's. We could talk about this all day, couldn't we?
Oh my goodness, totally could. Yeah.
It's been So, music.
Yes.
All of this stuff that we've been chatting. I've got a question that we shared before that I'm going to hit you with right now.
Uh-oh.
If you could do it all again, and if you were granted a rerun, and pick whatever, what would you do differently?
Musically?
Anything.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that's such a freaking tough question. But
yeah,
musically, in life.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is going to sound definitely be more forgiving. I think a lot of the barriers I put up was or things I thought I couldn't be because I put barriers. I'm not good enough to do that. So I'm trying to put it into words, but I think school wasn't easy for me. I don't have the type of brain that works well with school. Maybe the tools weren't there in those days to identify people like me who may not do well with your traditional schooling, and maybe an alternate way of learning may have helped me out, and it could have landed me with a better education, further education than I did, because I've found it very defeating. I'm undiagnosed, but I'm pretty damn sure I'm ADHD. I find it very hard to focus in sometimes.
That's funny.
And that makes it very hard with school, and it's not through lack of trying.
Not funny from a ha perspective, but so my a while back now, but I actually had a therapist say that to me as well. Yeah, she kind of paused in one of our sessions, and she said, "Do you know what, Simon? I think you're." What did she say? She said, "You're a high functioning ADHD," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Mm-hmm. Like, what do you mean? Because I'm agreeing with you, because I had a very similar. Like, school was
so difficult for me.
It was difficult because it would be like, and I can recite and retain knowledge. Like, even now, I can remember the lessons, and like, if you want me to stand up and teach you long division or anything out of biology, chemistry, physics, like the kilojoule lesson that we did, like burning a peanut or dissecting an onion, an onion so that we could look at cells, and then we look at photosynthesis and how the plant photosynthesize and blah 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 blah.
You remember
that? Oh, I can remember it.
Yeah.
I can remember the book. Obviously, I went to a convent school, so all of the reproductive pages were stuck together. Right, so you weren't allowed to look at that. So, but the thing is that, to your point, is that, and this is what I mean about what's probably missing out of society and any part of the world nowadays, is that potentially we've lost the tolerance of letting Jace be Jace. Yeah. Well, what's Jace? It's like, leave him alone. And we talked about this with our buddy Stillmiller. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Like, never ever ask that dude to explain what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Give him the end result.
Yeah. And it will happen.
This is what I want. This is what I want my utopia to be and I want that done in 3 months. Yeah. And then get out of the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get out of the way. Jace, this is what I want.
Right.
This is what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to explain it to me.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Simon, I want this, and we want this business level, and blah 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 blah, and then I'm like, so leave me alone.
Let's put the question back on you then. Oh, you weren't ready to answer that one, were you? You're throwing questions around like a maniac.
What would I do different? Do you know what? I wouldn't. So I'm going to answer it this way. I've got to somehow do it without shedding a tear.
Oh.
It's the reason why that album's up there. But I lost somebody that I deeply loved early on. So we're talking Daisy's age, 12, 13.
Okay.
And that the way that resonated with me was like, fuck life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden I would talk. My response to that was, well, okay, then life is just nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm using the wrong words, but again, so there was that. There's my mum that's struggling. It was struggling because she was working in a she's not able-bodied, so she was getting success in spite of a process, not because of a process. So I was kind of like, okay, in that case, then I'm gonna make damn sure that I'm living the way Simon wants to live. So when I discovered bikes, then I did bikes, and I played everything as well, right? So field hockey, rugby, football, cricket, all of that kind of stuff I did at school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all the games, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But my church were the hours on my own until I got with the rest of everybody else.
Yeah.
But my church, my quantum of solace, and still to this day, the bit that made me happy was just on my bike, because it was immediate freedom.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, I can sit here and say, like, have you done paragliding? Yes, I've jumped off one of the second highest places in the world to do paragliding. I've done that. Have you scuba dived? Yes, I've scuba dived.
Yeah.
Have you swam in a shark tank? Yes, I did that in Florida with Joe. Yeah. Have you learnt to fly an aeroplane? Yes, when I lived in France, I've got 12 hours and all this kind of stuff. And so I've got all of that. So I've got to, we've lived, and Joe and I were talking about it. It's probably why it was a question that I wanted to ask, because like now we're both at 50 and we say, hey, are there any regrets? Are there any course corrects or things that we wanted to do differently?
Right.
Then I would probably say not much, because we've gained maturity and direction out of the hardship of
very much so. Yeah.
Because what we're talking about is choice.
Yeah. Right.
Because you've kind of said, Dad, I want to play my guitar. What do you want to do that for, Jace? Yeah. You're never going to earn any money playing a guitar.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What are you going to do, son? I want to race my bike, Dad. What?
Yeah.
What are you going to do that? What are you going to, like...
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know. And again, and I know in the family it was like, well, you're never going to earn money racing a bike. I'm like, okay.
Right, yeah.
What ifs?
Yeah, my regrets are never like I want to change something I did. I just like I wish I did do this, or it's more along the lines of
If I had to say anything, do differently, I wish I'd have listened more.
Yeah, I wish I'd given myself a little bit more forgiveness. That's I guess ultimately, because right now I'm
forgiveness. What do you mean?
Well, just for me, it was kind of like I'm either if. I hope my dad doesn't watch this, but it was an impossible standard. I'm not sure. It didn't matter what mark. It didn't matter how hard I worked. It was not so much congratulatory. It was well, next time, see if you can get this mark instead. So it was an impossible bar to meet, and that just flipped. That was everything. Like I have a song that I've kind of written about it. The chorus of the song is, "Why do I have to prove myself to feel like I belong? Why even try to make things right when all I do is wrong?" And that's kind of, the idea is kind of like when you try so hard to do something, but you can't meet somebody's expectations, I think. And then that I internalized that a bit too much. And that led my life for far too many decades. Now I don't hold myself to that impossible standard. But I think I would have done better if I would have relaxed that
Well, you probably are. You're holding yourself to a Jason standard now, not a dad standard.
Yeah, and
is what I would say.
Because when you try when you try hard and then you don't get to the goal because you tried hard but you didn't get to the ultimate goal, then every once in a while you go fuck it, who cares? Then who cares, right? What's the point? And it's self-sabotaging and it's not good. And now I don't do that. There was never a moment in my life where I'm like, fuck it. Like it's the
I understand that now.
Yeah.
More forgiviveness.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna jump on that as well a little bit because I still don't. There's still lots of stuff where I won't forgive myself for it. Yeah. Because there's through the years there's always a better approach and all that kind of stuff, and then you kind of think, have I been a bit stoic about it? Yeah. But then over the fullness of time, you kind of sit back and you kind of like, do you know what? What you're probably talking about is you having an understanding of a situation that nobody else could get. Yeah. And then it's having the backbone, self-confidence, the stoicism to stick with it. Like, I know it can work. Yeah. And I know here it can work. Yeah. And I can make it work. Yeah. And in that part, maybe the forgiveness then is like, well, no, there's no forgiveness due. Mm-hmm. The forgiveness then is not a Jason forgiveness. No. It's an environment of like, sorry, Jace, you were right. Like, I don't know how the fuck you did what you did. Yeah. But you've done it, and it's wicked because it can't be replicated. Yeah. Right? Yeah, for sure. Which kind of comes back to everything. So yeah, that one question, that's why I wanted to ask it, because it goes like, right. What would you do differently? Because ultimately I land on, well, I don't think I would want to do something differently, because to do something differently means I've got to take experiences out. Yeah. Now, if you want to talk to me about opinion, and upset and empathies and all of this kind of stuff, and the opinion that it drives because of that, now that's a different conversation. Yeah, very much. Because I get in that respect, I get like emotional, and the primary thing that I get is anger, because probably like you with your mum, I don't like talking about a memory. Yeah, no, yeah. Right? Yeah. Like that person that I lost as a 12-year-old, like I hold him dear, but I don't want to talk about him as a memory. I want him. Yeah. I want him here. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the bit that I think. And that's neat. Yeah. I definitely. I don't talk about my mum a lot, but that's not. You don't. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Don't think fondly of her memory, but I'm very cognizant of not trying to live in the past, I guess, and I want to try and live in the present. And well, don't the Japanese say, like, a person, one eye on the past, one eye in front is a well balanced soul. 2 eyes on the past, you're living in the past. 2 eyes on the future, you're living in. Yeah, exactly. You're living too much in a dream. Yeah, like something along those lines. Yeah. Like, I guess the scenario is is the balance. And I've heard that recently. That exact So, but musically, what have I done different? Because that popped in my head as well. Musically, what would you done differently then? Well, because you picked your instrument young. Yeah, and in hindsight, for a long time there, I felt like I chose the wrong instrument, because the instrument I think I have the most fascination with is the drums in a band situation, is the drums. And I'm interested. Well, you're the beat keeper, aren't you? Yeah, it's the idea of being the beat keeper and having each limb doing something different, like that. Like this side is locked together. Like I can't do it. Yeah. There's only so many. Yeah. There's only so many Taylor Hawkins in the world, right? Right. Yeah. Right. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Right. What a great guy. Yeah. Like, right. What a great guy. Yeah. And the only one that can keep up with flipping David Grohl, by the way. That's right, exactly, yeah. You know what I mean? Seen the Foo Fighters, but it's like, no. It's like, oh. That was for the longest time, the biggest regret is I picked the wrong instrument, but I'd already gone down a path. I mean, I can learn both, but I went down the path of guitar, and you know what? In the end, the drummer never gets the girl. It's the guitarist and lead singer. So kids, if you but then I'm the same, because then I've spent a lifetime racing on the road and racing on the velodrome, and now I'm on mountain bikes. Yeah, and I'm shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the mountain bike, I'm still able to achieve the freedom.
Yeah.
But the difference there is in my attitude with self.
Yeah.
And using your words, I've forgiven myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? I've forgiven myself. It's like we're not trying to earn a living out of this, Simon.
This is just for fun.
This is just for fun.
Yeah.
And even Daisy was like, just beat yourself, Daddy. That's all you got to do. I'm
That's
like,
it. Okay.
Thank you.
Fair. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
But it's
be the best Simon.
But so what I was saying is like, well, do the drums.
Yeah. I do have a little electronic drum kit. I barely touch it. That's my problem.
But no, it
holds clothes nicely.
But you're right. Well, look behind you, man. There's my horse behind you. But you're back to picking your battles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like guitar is you.
And right now I've doubled down on that. I really have doubled down on that in the past year. So.
You're still doing something that I don't do guitar because this is me justifying it to me because I know there's everybody, including yourself, that were going, shut up, just play guitar.
Yeah.
I don't play guitar because I know that I haven't got the hours in the day that I want to invest.
No, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll leave it alone.
Yeah,
I'll leave it alone.
In playing with guitar, all the people who are thinking about playing the guitar is that you have to hit a certain number of hours.
Yes.
Before, and until then it's a chore because you're trying to remember chords, trying to remember this, that, and the other. But you hit a certain point if you keep practicing. You hit a certain point where the chords you don't think about them. Just like those manual car drivers, you're not thinking about changing gears. You just drove from here to the mall and you didn't once remember changing a gear. And that's what you have to get to with the guitar. Is that when somebody says C, you just know the hand.
Yes.
So he says G, okay.
Yeah.
Like you know it, and you have to hit that stage of practice because that's when all of a sudden it makes sense. Where it's like, now here's the song, and you're going to go from G to A to B, and you're like, okay, G, A, B, yeah.
And D needs to be detuned.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And you have to hit that. But that's the only way you'll ever succeed as a guitarist. You have to put in those hours for the chords to just become secondary. Or they're subconscious. You don't even know.
So there you go. So if I could do anything differently, I would have picked up a musical instrument.
Nice, excellent.
So I just put my time now into appreciation of listening to it.
That's fantastic. And as a musician, I appreciate that you really appreciate the music.
It's and I played one of your videos to Sam, and he was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Right."
Fantastic. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, we do it for the people. We don't. Yeah. Okay. Some musicians do it for their soul, but no, I do it for the attention.
Yeah. Well, and Ariel, I told you this, didn't I, about Ariel Paulson? Have you heard of him? Ariel Paulson. So Sam was like, Dad, Ariel Paulson's in town. So we went to watch him in downtown Calgary. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like halfway through, he'll kind of do his thing.
Yeah.
And then it'll all come back together again, and it's just
perfect.
It's wonderful because it's harmonized. He hasn't got anybody on the decks kind of balancing things out. Yeah. It's just music.
Love it.
It's wicked. So I'm going to ask you that question the next time.
Sounds good.
What are you going to do differently? You got more time to think about it.
Yeah, right. All right, sounds good.
I hope you come back and always say, no, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Right. We got to have to do another episode like this because we didn't even hit half the things we were going to talk about. So we have so much more to talk about.
It's been felt. I've needed this. I don't know about you.
It's a good episode. Thanks. We need to get back to our roots anyway, everyone. So this is
chatting.
Great. Yeah.
Chatting. Use this as a venue again. Coming back to my place.
Yeah, I could do that for sure. Yeah, I love it. Thanks everyone for joining us on episode 13. We definitely
Can I use the clipboard again?
Yeah, use the clipboard again.
Can I?
Yeah, do it.
What are you going to do? Are you going to say
take 10?
No, do you need to say cut? I wanted to shout cut and then do.
We could definitely do that, yeah. But before we do that, hold on. We got to make sure to thank our sponsors. He's so excited about this thing. It's funny. Like, come on, man. So we thank the sponsors. I'll let you do the sponsor talk.
Thank you, TEEMA. Thank you, Spandex Panda. Thank you, Pink Weasel.
Yep.
Thank you for our listeners.
Yes, thank you.
Love having you here. Love your support. Chatwiththeyesmen.com. Like, subscribe, follow us YouTube, the whole lot, and all the socials.
And again, we love doing this. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
That was episode 13. It's a wrap. Hell yeah. And be good to each other. Take care, everyone.
Later.
Bye-bye.